Hi. It's Rachel Reva here, founder of Life on Her Terms. How are you all? It is nearly Friday. Yes. I wanted to share something kind of career related, but it's something that a lot of people miss when they're looking at up-leveling, particularly in their career, and it is self-branding. Now, you hear a lot of branding when you're talking to business owners or people who are first starting out a business, but I think what you miss is that it doesn't matter what your profession is, what 9 to 5 you're in, or even if you're a full-time mom, you have a brand, you have an image. And it's so important to be aware of what that is and to make sure it conveys what you want and that it's working for you. So I just wanted to share with you some quick tips on how to up-level your self-branding today. And if you think you don't have a brand, you do, you just don't know what it is yet. So hopefully that will help a little bit today with what I'm about to talk about. So I'm not sure if anyone is on here. I wonder if I should just sit a little while people join. I don't know. I mean, I like talking to myself. I can talk underwater. It makes no difference to me. You see my pillows? My husband hates pillows, but I love them. They make me really happy. Anyway, so I can't see if anyone's on, but I'm just going to get started. And if you're watching the replay, pretend like it's live. I would love to see your comments. I would love to see where you're signing in from and where you live, because I'm from Georgia, but I live in London, so it's always nice to see where people are from. Anyway, so let's get into it. So first of all, branding is, to put simply, it's what people say when you're not around. So you may just say to someone's face, gosh, I really, like what you're doing there, but how you are described when you're not in the room, that is your brand. And so, you can hear how people talk about Apple or Coca-Cola or, or Evian water. You have a brand. You just may not have spent a ridiculous amount of money on it at this point to get there, but you're already known for something, and that's what this is about. So the first tip that I have for you is that you attract what you are. Now, this may sound a bit woo-wooey, but actually it's true. This is true in your career, in your love life, in your business. You attract what you are. If you find yourself only getting clients who aren't really committed, or maybe they're not having the same energy that you'd like to work with, well, you need to check your energy and your level of commitment. And that goes with the friends as well. If you find yourself, if people who are attracted to you aren't exactly people who you want to mingle with, that's because you're putting some kind of energy out there. Now, specifically in the workplace, what that means is if you're not getting tapped on the shoulder for promotions, if recruiters aren't contacting you on LinkedIn regularly, if you're not getting invited to certain meetings or events, there's a reason for that. They don't see you as perhaps you want to be seen. And that could be down to something as simple as your attire, to if you're late to work in the mornings, to your general attitude towards projects and in meetings. Do you step up? Do you talk? But the point is, you do attract what you are. So if you come across as an incredibly driven, successful person who knows they're going to the next level, then you're going to attract opportunities that way. You're going to attract people who have that same energy. So you just really need to be aware of that, because whether or not you say anything, you may not say with your words what your goals are, but trust me, everything else says it. Your level of work, your level of enthusiasm, whether or not you turn in projects on time, if you have initiative, down to what you wear. So I know plenty of people who could be management material, but frankly, they don't dress for it. So I would never consider them for that type of a role. And I had to give feedback once to someone who I was managing who expressed interest in a management role. And frankly, I never would have had this conversation had she not asked me the question. But I said to her, look, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. How you dress is not appropriate for the role you say you want. And there were also a few other behaviors that I had to kind of point out to her. I said, at your level, it's fine for that. But if you want to up level, you will never see me doing that. I said, you just won't. And that's because I'm at this particular level. Now, I may be sounding a little bit harsh here, but these are things people aren't going to tell you in the workplace. But these are the conversations that are happening behind closed doors. They're happening when you're not around. And you need to know that if you're not attracting what you want to attract in your career, in your life, that's because you're not stepping up in one of these areas. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, add value to everyone, everywhere you go. Now, this sounds like, yeah, of course, but what did I, like, yeah, of course you should add value. That's what I get paid for. You get paid to do a job, but there is a total difference between someone who gets paid to do a job and tick some boxes, between another person who looks outside of their responsibilities and says, how can I help here? Now, your brand is always going to be something that people look at and go, oh yeah, that person's helpful, or that person can do this, or that person's really good in this area. But if you do not start adding value to other places outside of your domain, you'll never get noticed. So one example I have of this is when I was working in television as a publicist, I went over and beyond because I was so desperate to do well at this job, and my enthusiasm obviously showed. But I literally went to every single program when it was recorded, and that was so not necessary in my job. None of the other previous publicists had done that, and that was about, 32 recordings. So I would, show up at 9 a.m., and the recording was usually on at 7 p.m., then there was an after-show drinks. The publicists previously usually did not go, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, but I wanted to be seen differently. I wanted my brand to reflect someone who was obsessed with this program, who knew it inside and out, and actually, I had another agenda, which I did not share with anyone, but that other agenda was I wanted to work in the editorial side. So after about a year and a half of doing that, of proving myself and then some, I actually had the guts to ask the executive producer at the time if I could work on his program and not as a publicist. And I did. And I can guarantee you it's because the brand that I had conveyed was someone who was totally engaged, totally interested, and willing to go the extra mile, and I was obsessed with their program. I knew a lot about it. So just so you know that if you're not adding value everywhere you go, that is totally going to limit the amount of opportunities you have, and it's going to limit your brand as well. Number 3, be visible and consistent on all channels. Now, this is something that you might hear people and think it's only relevant if you have a business, but actually your career is your business, okay? And you may not think it right now, but your brand is your business. That is representing who you are. Recruiters are judging you before they've even contacted you for an interview, like on LinkedIn and stuff. So what I mean by that is, number 1, own your work. So if you have been integral to a project, or if you've led it, don't wait for someone else to blow your whistle. This wasn't easy for me because I came from a very, in the South, humility is a big thing. But at work, there are some people who have no issue with self-promotion. And I do think there's a tactful way to self-promote and there's a tactless, but that's not even the point. The point is, if you've done something really well, you need to let people know about it. Don't just think your manager knows what you do and that's enough. Maybe they do, but they're never going to promote yourself. They're never going to promote you the way you should be promoted. So, and all I mean by that is sending the group email, sending it to the senior people. Of course, you have to make sure it's okay with your manager, whatever. But really outlining, this is the project, this is what happened, this is how I led, this is what I did. You've got to learn to own your success and own it in a really clear and confident way that people will take notice of you. And so that's being visible just in the workplace on those channels. It also means going to some events. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. Sometimes when you put in a big day at the office, the last thing you want to do is go to a work event or a work social. You really should, because the people who get promoted are not just the ones who do the 9 to 5 and go home. They're not usually the ones who get promoted. The ones who do are the ones who are known by a lot of people. They make sure they know the right people. Okay, and they do go to the social events. Now, I could do a whole freaking training on this, on what to do and not to do at these social events. So here's what I used to do, because there would be times when I would talk myself out of, no, you don't have to go. You have no idea how many people I met at these events, and sometimes I would meet future bosses there without even knowing it. Okay, so you're already making a name for yourself in that way. I would say, go to an event and just make sure you give your card to one person, or one person gives you their card. That was the game I played with myself. And then I would let myself go home. And actually, that was kind of a good thing, because it's usually one drink and then go home. Yes, I had lots of late nights when I did not do that. But that was just to get me to go and say, just do this one thing, and then you've done your job and you can go home. Okay? So just because you're going to a social event doesn't mean you have to be the life of the party. Doesn't mean you have to spend many, many hours there. Showing your face is a really important part of this branding. Okay? And of course, the face you want to show is a good one. You don't want to be that person. Again, we can talk about that another time. But being visible in that way at social events is really important. Last but not least, social media. Now, whatever industry you work in, there will be a platform that most people are on. Twitter is really popular nowadays. When I worked in television, everything I tweeted was TV related. I didn't personally use Twitter that much, but Twitter was hugely popular, particularly with the programs I was working on. So I always made sure I was engaged in that way, and I made sure I was visible, and I made sure on all my platforms, maybe not a personal Facebook page, but on LinkedIn, on Twitter, all of my stuff, even Instagram, all of my stuff was updated with who I was, where I lived, and what I did. And I cannot tell you how many people contacted me via particularly LinkedIn, and that's why I always say to keep it regularly updated. So I was visible. It didn't leave too many questions. You knew who I was. You knew where I lived. You knew kind of what I looked like, if I looked friendly or not. And I'm telling you, this stuff works, and that is so important to your self-branding. And last but not least, invest in yourself and get support. Now, investing in yourself could be something as simple as buying yourself a new wardrobe. So that goes into your visibility and looking like so that you can physically look like the person you want to become. So if you want to be the CEO, you need to start dressing like the CEO, okay, not the assistant. And I am not judging here, by the way. I'm literally just telling you through my 11 years of experience what I've learned, okay? And this is through managing teams. This is through climbing the ranks. This is through being the really nice girl who always brought in brownies to being the opposite and being called a B several times. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I know what works in the short term. I know what works in your long game. And when I say invest, again, I'm going back to make sure you kind of look the part, but investing in yourself can be something as simple as getting a mentor or getting a coach. I have done all of these things, and I still have a coach. I always go to a coach because they have been there before, and they know exactly what you need to do to get you where you want to be. So those are my 4 steps to upping your self-branding. I hope you found this helpful, because I can guarantee you, if you do not think you have a brand, you're just not aware of it. And there's nothing worse than not being aware of something that is so integral to you and your success. So I am a success coach, and I work with people when they want to up-level their career. That can be getting a new job, transitioning into a new career, or even starting a side business. And I am obsessed with people getting a career and a life on their terms. So if this training has helped you or benefited you in any way, that's great. Send me a comment, say hello. Would love to chat to you more, or if you know someone who would like to hear these things, then please do share it. And as always, please do connect or send me a message if you'd like to chat more, and if you're interested in up-leveling your career today, because this, I can guarantee you, if you have a dream job, someone else already has it. And if you're not going for it today, someone else is. So, and there's no reason why it can't be you. So that's it from me. Hope you have a great week. Much love. Bye.